Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, and welcome to this second press conference this CHOGM week. Some of you may have been here for our earlier press conference in the week after the Small States Ministerial meeting. To those who are joining us for the first time today, warm welcome to you as well. The distinction between the earlier press encounters we've had in the week and today is that today we have the honor of being joined by the host president, His Excellency President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Your Excellency, warm welcome, sir. His Excellency is accompanied by the Commonwealth Secretary-General, Kamalesh Sharma, who will take the opportunity to speak to you about where we are today. The CHOGM, as we call it, the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, is it's the flagship event for the Commonwealth family. It's an opportunity that leaders of the Commonwealth take every 2 years to come together and take stock of where we are in the Commonwealth and also discuss areas of mutual interest, priorities and areas of mutual interest. And the Secretary-General will go over what we have ahead of us this week. But before he does that, I would like to invite His Excellency, the President, to make a few brief opening remarks. Your Excellency.
Good morning to everybody. It is my pleasure to welcome you all. We meet just before the 22nd Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, 2013, which begins tomorrow in Colombo. This is the flagship event of the Commonwealth and take place every 2 years. As one of the 8 founding members of the modern Commonwealth, Sri Lanka remains committed to upholding the fundamental values of the organization. As such, we are honored to have the privilege to host this prestigious summit, providing a forum for Commonwealth leaders to discuss matters of concern, common interest, and priority. While the Commonwealth is unique in its diversity, we as members of member countries must ensure that it remains relevant to its 2.2 billion people. Collectively, we make up 1/3 of the world's population, as you know. Over 60% of our citizens are under the age of 30, making the Commonwealth family home to the largest number of young people in this context. It is fitting that we commence CHOGM week with the Commonwealth Youth Forum in Hambantota. The theme for the CHOGM 2013, Growth with Equity, Inclusive Development, is relevant to all member states. Equitable growth and inclusive development must cut across all segments of society. We in the Commonwealth must unite to achieve rapid, sustainable and inclusive economic growth, especially in developing countries, to ensure that no one is left behind. We also need to cover a wide range of other equally important issues. These include the challenges of small states, the role of civil society in development, public-private partnership for wealth creation, Commonwealth values and principles, enhancing participation of youth in development, and international trade. In addition to the main CHOGM meeting, three parallel events are now taking place. In view of investor confidence in Sri Lanka and enhanced business opportunities available after the eradication of terrorism, the Commonwealth Business Forum has attracted over 1,600 registered participants. This forum has the theme Partnership of Wealth Creation and Social Development. The Business Forum commences on 12th November, and it is expected that this event would give way to great economic activity both in Sri Lanka and the wider Commonwealth. There is a sizable number of non-Commonwealth countries also participated. Some head of government will engage with group of business leaders in Hambantota later today. Therefore, it is important that the national policies, plans and programs of the Commonwealth member nations make youth partners in development and take into account their interests. It is understood that the Youth Forum is pursuing the establishment of Commonwealth Youth Council, which is another positive initiative Sri Lanka has offered to host the Secretariat of the Council. The Commonwealth People's Forum is taking place in Nikkaduwa since 10th November on the theme Growth with Equity and Inclusive Development Beyond 2015. Representing the face of the Commonwealth, the People's Forum will enhance connectivity and people-to-people contact among the member states. It is for this reason that we decided to take the Commonwealth to the non-urban population of Sri Lanka. Outcomes of CHOGM discussions will be reflected in the final statement, which will be released on Sunday, 17th November. Let me conclude here and take this opportunity to thank you all for you and for your presence here. As CHOGM returns to Asia after 24 years, I hope that you will give fair coverage to all events connected with the summit and will convey the outcomes of the meeting to international and local audience in balanced and professional manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And now I'd like to invite the Commonwealth Secretary-General, Mr. Kamalesh Sharma, to make his remarks.
It's a great pleasure to welcome you all, and good to see so many of you here. Thank you for coming this morning. We are now on the eve of CHOGM, and this has already been a busy week, with a very full round of ministerial meetings and meetings for senior officials. These have prepared the ground for leaders elaborating the agenda and starting to build common ground on the issues of the day for which our CHOGMs are well known. The officials' meeting concluded late last night. The Commonwealth summits have a rich history of producing practical results that benefit our citizens and that shape global discourse. We have agenda items this week that will do the same again. The CHOGM is not just an intergovernmental meeting. There have also been very well attended and productive parallel forums for youth, business, which has been the largest in a CHOGM, and for civil society, the People's Forum. It is these associated events which give this CHOGM Summit its distinctive and uniquely valuable Commonwealth dimension. Dialogue at many levels, connection with the citizens we serve, and tangible expression of the priorities we pursue. The pressure of such a full and rich program has been greatly eased thanks to meticulous planning and careful arrangements by our hosts, the government and people of Sri Lanka. We congratulate President Rajapaksa on the generous preparations and national state of readiness. We thank host ministers, the task force, and the thousands of Sri Lankans who have worked so hard and have made us all, delegates and representatives from across the Commonwealth, feel so welcome. In advance of CHOGM itself, a great deal of work has already been done, and a strong sense of common purpose has come out of early discussions and the preparatory meetings. Yesterday, the Commonwealth Ministerial Action Group met, and the meeting of foreign ministers commenced, and it continues today. Earlier in the week, the ministerial meeting on small states resulted in positive outcomes and fresh initiatives that have now been considered by foreign ministers and will go forward to heads of government. We briefed the media on this earlier, but for the benefit of those from the media who are newly arrived, these include proposals put forward by the high-level group led by the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis to address debt sustainability challenges. Proposals from the Commonwealth Expert Group on Climate Finance, led by former President Jagdeo of Guyana, for unlocking finance to enable countries deal with the effects of climate change. Provisions of specially designed trade finance facilities. The unprecedented level of participation in the Business Forum shows the potential of the Commonwealth for trade diversification and joint ventures, and as not only that we are not only open for business, but open to business as well. The range of topics discussed at the Youth Forum reminds us of the immense contribution of young people to national development and the values of our societies and the development of an ever younger Commonwealth globally. Some 60% of our citizens now are in their 20s or younger. The recently launched Commonwealth Youth Development Index is a global first and provides substantial data on the young in our member states. It will raise awareness both of successes and of investment needs, and will enable us to track progress over time. The newly established Commonwealth Youth Council will strengthen young people's participation in the Commonwealth. The first elections of its executive took place this week in Hambantota. Heads of government will meet youth representatives during CHOGM, and we expect fruitful outcomes from that engagement. The Commonwealth collectively is making a significant and distinctive contribution to the dialogue on the new global development framework that will succeed the Millennium Development Goals once their 2015 target date is reached. This has been a major topic at Commonwealth ministerial meetings and a focus for work this week in Sri Lanka, particularly at the People's Forum. This priority is reflected in the theme our hosts and leaders have chosen for the CHOGM: growth with equity, inclusive development, connecting our commitment to development and growth with the need for greater equity and inclusiveness. We expect to make progress on ways that there can be greater exploitation of opportunities for country-to-country technical cooperation within the Commonwealth. Proposals that will assist citizens of all our member states with access to broadband can do much to advance equality and economic inclusion. Over coming days, we will chart a way forward for the Commonwealth that can bring inclusive social progress and equitable economic development to the citizens of our member states. We look forward with great confidence to important and far-reaching practical outcomes from this CHOGM that reflect its theme. Thank you very much.
Thank you, SG. We'll now take a number of questions, a few questions, but first a few housekeeping notes. After this press conference, when Their Excellencies depart, I would ask any of you interested in following our daily press briefings to stay on, and I'll take a few minutes to go over events of the day that are later on, where we have pools and so There will also be a special stamp commemoration, stamp issuance to commemorate the 23rd CHOGM here in Colombo. There are 2 stamps being issued, a stamp of a denomination of 5 rupees and 25 rupees. And today, 2 stamps, a first day cover and a souvenir sheet will be issued. They'll be handed over to His Excellency the President by the Honorable Minister of Postal Services, Mr. Jivan Kumaranatunga, right after this press conference. Now, what I would like to do is invite questions from the floor. Some of you I know already, others I don't. So what I would ask is that you please raise your hand, identify yourself by name and your media establishment. Yep. Yep. Let's see. Agence France Presse. Yes.
Hi, from AFP News Agency. British Prime Minister David Cameron has expressed a desire to talk to the President and have what he's called tough conversations about allegations of war crimes. Are you planning to meet him on a one-to-one basis? And if so, what will you say to him?
I will be meeting him, certainly, because I have already given an appointment, and we'll see what. When I meet him, he might ask me questions. I don't know. I will also have to ask some questions. So,
Okay, let's respect gender. Let's see. At the
Good
back,
morning,
please.
Mr. President, Your Excellency. First, our grateful thanks for saving us from the world's most notorious terrorist who would have put Jack the Ripper to shame.
Can you identify yourself
Sorry,
by name and your media establishment,
I'm Suha
please?
Odran Kasim. I'm Sri Lankan but based in Guinea, so part of the international media, Maison de la Presse.
Maison de la Presse.
Oui. So, as I was saying, if you'd have put Jack the Ripper to shame, our terrorist leader here, that Our Excellency managed to get rid of. Now, CHOGM is certainly not about Sri Lanka. We are merely the host country. I just have a questions for you, sir. You saved us from the terrorists. How are you proposing to save us from the Tamil diaspora who's hell-bent on taking our country to the gallows? And how can Sri Lanka address this problem? Because certainly the Elam ideology is not dead.
I have already invited them to come to Sri Lanka, have a dialogue with us. We can discuss, we can have a dialogue with them. We are ready to listen to them. And they must also listen to us. What actually happening in Sri Lanka, they must come and see to themselves. There are we have our strong opposition. There are LTT sympathizers. You must remember that 14,000 Sanandis who admitted that they killed so many people, they were fighting with the forces, and they went to villages and destroyed villages. They killed political leaders. But we have taken a risk by rehabilitating them and sending them back within a period of 2 to 3 years. Or even less than that now. Child soldiers were released within 1 or 2 months. So you all must now, for journalists and for others, it's a news. For us, we have to face this life and death issue at that time. For 30 years we suffered. 30 years we suffered. And no one was making an issue over that. And didn't see, but unfortunately, fortunately we have, now what is? There are no, every day there was a dead body, or 10 or 15 dead bodies came to south or in there. Now there is no single bomb in Sri Lanka for last so many years, after 4 years. So at least there is peace with. But we have to win over them. My policy is to win over even the terrorists. So we are trying to negotiate. We are ready to talk to them. But one thing, that we will not divide the country. We will not allow anybody to divide this country. That's all.
My question, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Hold on. May I ask that if, in the interest of time, because both His Excellency the President and the Secretary-General have engagements right after this, so we're trying to manage time as best as possible. If you have had your question already answered, I ask that you please, not ask it again, but leave the opportunity for others to ask other questions.
Sir.
All right. This gentleman has been waving his hand for quite energetically, so I'll take your question.
Mr. President, I'm Hariharan from Tandi TV, India. My question to you is, the Honorable Prime Minister of India is giving the conference a miss. Are you disappointed or happy about the level of participation from India? The Honorable Foreign Minister is taking part.
Even in Perth, I don't think the Prime Minister represented India at that meeting. So the foreign minister is here. I am satisfied.
But the Prime Minister has taken the Tamil sentiments into consideration. The Prime Minister has reportedly taken the Tamil sentiments into consideration from Tamil Nadu.
But he had not sent it to me like that. The letter says differently.
I would just like to say that we respect the decision of any member state as to the level at which they want to send a representation. The outcomes of a CHOGM are dependent upon the engagement of the delegations as they exist, and I'm fully confident that the outcomes of this CHOGM will be very productive and very meaningful.
Indeed, we should remind you that the absence of a leader, a boycott, it's not equivalent to a boycott. We expect robust participation from every member country, and the fact that a head is not here physically does not mean that that country is not represented. All right, let's go to the other side. The gentleman over there, I'll take, after this, 2 more questions and we'll have to wrap it up. Yes, sir.
I'm very happy. They must assess the situation in Sri Lanka. Why not? Yeah, we have allowed them. Anybody who wants to know about it, they must have a dialogue with us too. Not only with the sympathizers of the LTT or the proxies of the LTT.
I would like to add that the Commonwealth is working with both the government of Sri Lanka and the institutions in Sri Lanka to advance the commonly subscribed principles and values of the Commonwealth Charter, whether they pertain to the processes of democracy, to human rights, to the rule of law, judicial independence, separation of powers. All of these are issues on which we are working with Sri Lanka, but there's a very important consideration in this, which is to advance these causes, which are very much Commonwealth causes. It is productive only to work while strengthening national institutions that are the guarantors of these rights. So one of the principal objectives of the engagement from the Commonwealth has been to strengthen, for instance, the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission. And we are working with them in difficult areas and sensitive areas like reconciliation, like torture by state security forces. And we expect in the time to come to make even more advances than we have been making.
Okay, we have one last question. You, sir, in the burgundy tie. This is not the last time that you will have a chance to engage His Excellency the President and the Secretary-General. We also have several other press conferences between now and Sunday where both will be present. So let's see, the gentleman in the burgundy tie. Yes, you? Yeah? Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much. Your Excellency, you will be getting over the chairman.
Can you, your name and your establishment, please?
I'm Shehan Bandaranaike from Bandaranaike TV in Sri Lanka. My question is, Your Excellency, you will be getting the chairmanship of Commonwealth tomorrow, and how are you going to steer the Commonwealth region for the next 2 years?
Very interesting question. Because I can't do whatever I want. I mean, it's up to the members of the Commonwealth to decide what we have to do. I'm only the chair. So we will have a dialogue with everybody and decide. And our theme is very clear. So you go through it, and then I think you are from Sri Lanka. Anytime you can come and see me. Let the others also participate in this.
I mentioned the Charter of the Commonwealth. We look to work with Sri Lanka in the chair to advance the principles and the values that are in the Charter.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, SG. And
There's
now,
a person who is raising his hand. Let him also.
oh, all right.
Please.
Paul, I don't think we can hear you. Is your
Please. Why don't you? Let him also ask the question. Sorry now.
No. Yep.
Yes.
Hello. This is a question, I suppose, to both the President and also Mr. Sharma. You meet Prince Charles later today. It's his first CHOGM. When you shake his hand, will you then admit to him at least Sri Lanka's dire human rights record, which is in evidence even today, given that some British journalists were prevented from travelling north yesterday? And will you promise an independent investigation into alleged war crimes? And to Mr. Sharma, that's to the Mr. President, but to Mr. Sharma, unless these issues are dealt with, does this not make a mockery of the Commonwealth and its charter? And therefore, what is the point of the Commonwealth unless everyone agrees to the same kind of principles?
Can I begin?
Yes, please.
It does not make a mockery of the Charter, because if anything is evident and plain to everybody, it is the way in which the Commonwealth Secretariat has been engaging with a completely open attitude from the side of the Sri Lanka in advancing many of the issues that are in the Charter. I made a tour of this country in February, and if you look at the statement which I issued on the statements we would be working, these are some of the most central issues which there's a lot of public debate about. And just a little while ago, when I mentioned that we are also working with them in areas that are sensitive and difficult, it means that it is possible, if you work with a member state on the principle that advancement can take place by jointly agreeing that the way forward is required in terms of the commonly subscribed principles of the Commonwealth by all member states, then you can, over a wide front, make advances. And we are doing it, as I said, in the field of independence of judiciary. We are doing it in the field of security and the field of torture, field of reconciliation. And there's another interesting perspective in this, which is from the point of view of the Commonwealth, since you've raised the question of the association of the Commonwealth with all this. There is a total Commonwealth perspective in it. On reconciliation, we had an event in which we invited those countries of the Commonwealth that have had experience of truth and reconciliation civil conflict situations. All of them met in Marlborough House to exchange what it is they could learn from each other. From that, it has been possible for Sri Lanka to have a lot of bilateral contact as well. Following up on it, we had an event on the ground in the northern province itself. So these are the ways in which we are practically trying to advance our cause. And in this national investigation that I mentioned on torture by state security, we have a Commonwealth advisory group which would be advising on what is the best practice in arriving at a credible conclusion in all of these matters. Since you mentioned Commonwealth particularly, and you put it so strongly, whether it is making a mockery or if it is not making a mockery, it is showing the Commonwealth in action.
Yes. Before I shake hand, I will say Aiboa to the Prince Charles. So that's the way that Sri Lankan will greet anybody, whether it is a king or queen or a beggar even. So that is how we treat them. Thereafter, because he is the host, so he is coming to see me, we will discuss with him. And you must remember that there we have, for last 30 years, we suffered. There were a lot of human rights violations. And the civilians were killed, the children, the women, pregnant women. And we have to suffer. We had to suffer for them. But as I said earlier, there is no one, today there is nothing, no one is getting killed in Sri Lanka. At least to finish that war, that menace, is something that people are appreciating. What is it?
Paul, who were killed?
I can't hear you.
Even the people who were killed in the last few days of the 2009 conflict, they won't be pleased, I'm sure.
No, this is. I mean, not only 2009, for 30 years, they were getting killed. People were getting killed for 30 years. At least after 2009, we have stopped it. We have stopped it now. There is no killing at the moment. There is no killings in Sri Lanka. If there are...
Please. Please, we're not going to have an open discussion here. Don't interrupt. No, please, I may ask you, don't interrupt the President.
No, don't worry. At least he's seated here. No, he must be a journalist. You didn't identify yourself. But doesn't matter for me. That's why I pointed. I knew that you are going to ask this question. The way that you have raised your hand and trying to...
All right.
Doesn't matter, my dear. Now, we have a legal system in Sri Lanka. We appointed the LLRC Commission. We have a legal system. We have Human Rights Commission. Now the Commonwealth is ready to strengthen it. And if anyone who wants to complain about human rights violation in Sri Lanka, whether it is torture, whether it is rape, whether it is... We have a system. You all must respect the system of a country, the culture of a country. So we are ready to look into these things. If there is any violations, we will take action against anybody. Anybody. I am ready to do that.
Sir, please.
So, I mean, we are very open. We have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. You have traveled all over the world, whether it is Middle East, you know what is happening there. The name of democracy, what is happening. So I think we must meet and discuss all this. Why don't you meet our ministers and find out from them and our officials? You must respect the country's legal system. Also, we have a legal system, thanks to...
All right. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Right. Thank you.
Like I said, there will be other opportunities for other questions in the course of the week. And now we...
Thank you.
Yes. We have, for a brief few minutes, the stamp commemoration.